It was a busy start to the holiday weekend for first responders around the metro area. They responded to several overnight fires, some of them even associated with the use of illegal fireworks. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Rachel Krause. Well, you probably heard the explosive sounds all overnight, but it made for a busy night for police and firefighters, the calls coming in fast and furious, especially once the sun went down. 9 News reporter Shalima Maharaj joins us live now. And Shalima, not everybody was thrilled with those patriotic displays.
Not at all, Rachel. We went to one Denver neighborhood where we actually saw the wrappers and the debris all over the street still today. And we've been hearing from people who say that their neighbors were setting off fireworks for hours on end. So much for a celebratory evening.
Fire is starting to reach the man door into the home.
Overnight, South Metro Fire responded to 2 house fires.
The whole front of that car is still going.
Both caused by fireworks that weren't properly disposed of. And in both, thankfully, everyone made it out safe. But the homes took a hit. Video shared with 9 News shows the big show put on at Pontiac Street and 26th Avenue in City Park West. And the remnants of the show are still around.
Most of those illegal fireworks that leave the ground like that, when they fall to the ground, they have fragments. So a lot of those fragments are still very hot.
West Metro Fire District 1 Chief Kevin Reichenbach says when the sun went down, the calls went up.
Well, typically we run about 110 calls in a 24-hour time period.
From 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., they received 90 calls.
It's unsettling going to bed when they're still shooting them off in the park by your house. And you think, are we going to get hit?
That's exactly what realtor Katie Portenga says happened to the home her client is buying.
When I spoke with the listing agent, he said, well, there was a firework that landed on the rooftop deck.
Insurance adjusters still have to go in and survey the damage.
What are the odds that that would happen on a home that your buyer is buying?
But the risks are real, and so are the potentially explosive consequences.
If you're using a firework like that, you start a fire, you are responsible for that fire.
Now, Katie Portenga says she understands that people want to get out and enjoy fireworks, but she'd like to see them do it safely. Now, in the meantime, her client does have a place to stay while things get sorted out. So even with the damage, they are still in. Reporting live from Denver, Shalima Maharaj, 9 News.
Thanks, Shalima. Well, it was a beautiful start to the day in Colorado. We hovered in the 90s for most of the day, though some afternoon storms did pop up across the state. You can see some droplets on our camera over Lookout Mountain that fell just after 5 o'clock tonight. Let's check in with 9 News Weather Impact Team meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen now. And Corey, some storms might be still on the way this weekend.
Yeah, I think tomorrow we will see some storms in the Denver metro area again, isolated in nature, so not everybody gets wet, but we've seen some big drops, some heavy downpours, and we can see that once again tomorrow. I'll detail that coming up in the full forecast, but take a look at the observed high temperatures being reported across the state of Colorado today. 92 officially at Denver International Airport, even warmer, 93 in Boulder, 95 in Grand Junction. So a very warm day across the state, and we'll have another warm day coming up tomorrow. Right now, the current conditions across the city of Denver looking real nice, super comfortable night, 73 degrees in downtown Mile High City. The live radar picture still showing a few strong storms moving across parts of Colorado, mainly down in the Arkansas River Valley across Highway 50 there. No severe weather, but some strong storms are certainly still in the area down that direction. Here's your forecast in Denver for Sunday. Early, we'll get the sunshine. Temperatures getting up to about 90, and I think we will see some afternoon thunderstorms in the area, so I'll detail the nature of those storms coming up in the full forecast in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Corey. Right now, Denver police are trying to find a driver who hit and killed someone while changing their tire on I-25 and kept going. Police say it happened around 7 this morning on I-25 near 6th Avenue. They say the victim was changing their tire on the right shoulder when the driver hit them. The crash forced the southbound lanes to close for several hours. Those lanes have since reopened. Police are now looking for a black Toyota 4Runner. It has damage on the front passenger side. If you have any information about the crash, call Metro Denver Crime Stoppers. A manhunt is underway for a convicted felon 25 years after he bolted from a Colorado courtroom. The FBI says Francisco Molina Neve fled the courtroom back in 1999, right after a jury found him guilty in the brutal beating of his girlfriend. He's been dodging prison ever since, using fake names, false birth dates, and fleeing from multiple arrests. He's now wanted on a federal warrant for unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. The FBI says Molina Neve has ties to Colorado, Texas, California, and Mexico, and may still be hiding in one of those places. If you have any information on his whereabouts, call the FBI's tip line. Tonight, an investigation is underway after police in Colorado Springs shot and killed a man early this morning. It happened shortly after 1:30 on East Pikes Peak Avenue downtown. Officers say they initially received reports about a man flashing a gun near several nightclubs, and they were able to track him down using surveillance cameras. When they approached him in person, officers say he reached for his waistband. That's when they opened fire, hitting him. The man died at the scene. Police say no officers or bystanders were hurt. They did find a gun at the scene. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office is now handling the investigation. It's a worrying milestone for the U.S. Measles cases have surged to a record high since the disease was declared eliminated 25 years ago. New data finds there have been more than 1,200 confirmed cases this year. The majority of those have been in Texas. 3 people have died. All were unvaccinated. Officials say the nation could lose its measles elimination status if cases continue to climb through January of next year. So far, 16 measles cases have been reported here in Colorado. Health officials are turning to the same tools they used during COVID to track cases spreading across the country and here in the state. Our Jennifer Meckles sat down with the state's epidemiologist to better understand how the measles works.
Good, you ready?
Yes.
Awesome. She's a familiar voice on infectious diseases, but this time we're talking about measles with state epidemiologist Dr. Rachel Herlihy. Remind us how measles spreads. It can be in the air for a while after someone leaves an area, right? And it's very infectious.
9 out of 10 susceptible people, so people who don't have immunity to the virus that come in contact with someone with the infection are going to go on to develop the infectious disease. So very, very infectious.
Measles incubates longer in the body, which makes tracking exposures tricky.
We try and identify all of the known contacts first, right? So these are going to be, household contacts, close friends, healthcare providers, people that had very direct contact with that person. It can be really challenging for cases to remember everywhere they've been while they were infectious. Keep in mind that the incubation period, so the time from exposure to onset of illness for measles, is typically anywhere from 7 to 21 days.
But some of these have been like grocery stores, and there's no physical, there's a limitation there. You can't call every single person because you don't know who all shopped at a Trader Joe's on this one date.
And we work with businesses and healthcare facilities to really try and find all of those people who may have been in the same place at the same time. And that's really when we rely on our press releases and the media to notify the public of places where cases have been, these public spaces where we really can't identify all individuals.
Most of Colorado's cases stem from international travel or exposure to one passenger on a Turkish Airlines flight that landed at DIA. And some of those who got sick were vaccinated. Most adults are walking around vaccinated for measles, but we're seeing some breakthrough cases. Breakthrough cases are still considered not normal, that's kind of unusual, but we're seeing it happen.
In rare cases, someone who was vaccinated and even develops an immune response to the vaccine might still get measles if they have this intense or prolonged exposure to the virus. We believe that person was incredibly infectious, and then when you think about the length of a flight, international flight, there's certainly a prolonged period of exposure.
What do we know about those cases as far as how severe people who get sick being vaccinated? Is it a lesser symptom?
That is the great news in that when these breakthrough cases occur, they usually result in milder illness and infections that are less likely to be spread to others.
That was Jennifer Meckles reporting. The state says they've seen a boost in interest in people getting vaccinated against measles. It's important to note there are different guidelines based on your current age and prior vaccination history. Safeway workers will soon return to work after more than 3 weeks of picketing at 46 stores across the state. The union representing these workers say they've reached a tentative deal with the company. UFCW 7 says the agreement includes fully funded health care benefits, wage increases, and new studies for staffing improvements, among others. The union says full details of the agreement will be available at the ratification vote. The date of that vote has not yet been announced. The deal comes days after the union also reached an agreement with King Soopers.